Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. My name is Christina. This is the extended for the Divine Feminine reading that's already been posted on YouTube, so go watch that first if you haven't already and come back here. So we're going to continue on how can you shift your focus, DF. So we ended the first part with the Cobra and the Dragon. So I am going to come back to this because there's so much more here that wants to be explored, but it's going to come through the other cards. So we have the Protection and Emptiness, which is all of this sort of energy that I've been talking about, because this is the Temperance energy, right? You can see how similar these are today. The thing about protection, which I've been saying for a really long time, recently in the last couple of readings, is that protection is absolutely necessary in the short term, right? It's like if you've experienced some sort of pain or wound, the protection energy keeps you from further exacerbating that wound, right? It's like if you burn yourself or if you like break your arm, you have to put your arm in a cast, right? That's protection. You're protecting the thing so that it has enough energy to heal or time and space to heal. But if you are in this protection energy for an extended period of time, which for me it absolutely was, I was protecting a very specific wound that I did not want to heal or address because I didn't know how, right? I didn't know how to fix that. It was a really sort of complex trauma. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that, but it does require you to sort of be open and vulnerable because it's like if you have like a sliver, is that the right word? Splinter. If you have a splinter, you need to remove that splinter or else it can make more trouble. Like something really small can actually like cause like infection and more sort of problems than the actual removal of the splinter is, even though that the removal of it or the acknowledgement, for me, it was even just acknowledging that I had a wounding. That was extremely difficult because it's kind of like pulling the plug on a dam. I know those two are not congruent metaphors, but you know what I'm saying. If you pull up the plug out of, or if you suddenly just like poke a hole in this protection sort of dam energy, the floodgates kind of open up. I'm mixing up metaphors, but you understand what I'm saying, right? Like that's sort of the I feel like that's the energy that this one is going through. It's like you've shown them that with this dragon energy, something that was blocking them, that they were protecting because perhaps they didn't even know that it was there, is kind of how this protection energy is coming through. It's like by looking directly at this energy, it's being able to pull the plug on that. Okay, and so now you have the Emptiness card, which I've been really sort of practicing a lot personally of becoming empty, and that's such a difficult thing to do, especially if you're like me and you have air in your chart somewhere where it just like thoughts is what drives you, right? It's like you just are thinking all the time. That kind of energy with the dragon is sort of asking you, remember this is how you can shift your focus, to step back from that and almost take an observer's kind of an observational role in this dynamic, right? Because it is happening to you. You are experiencing it, but it's asking you to be empty. In order like to completely just like clear your mind and clear your energy of any sort of like judgment or thought or trying to rationalize perhaps what's happening. It's like just become empty and experience it in the eyes of the observer. So what I was thinking about before, actually, because I as I'm saying this, I know that I am being kind of contradictory where I'm telling you all the things that I'm thinking about, but there's this movie Wonder that just came out on Netflix recently, and it's a book that I read as like when it came out, which is 2016. So I read it when it came out, and now the movie's being produced about it. But what's so interesting about that movie is that, first of all, it's a historical fiction. It's set in the 19th century Ireland, right? So very, well, it's detached from this time and place, basically, is what this energy is coming through. The very first scene, however, in Wonder is a film set. So it's a film set, and it comes with the introduction of, this is a story. This is a story that has been created by a crew of people. You're going to be immersed in this story for 2 hours or whatever it is, and then you will be pulled back and to pay attention to what the story is trying to tell you. So that's how they introduce the movie, which is a very strange way to start a movie. Like, no one goes into a movie, like, we all sort of acknowledge that we are watching a movie. That's undisputed, but it does pull you into the story for a certain amount of time. And so that's what this energy is talking about, is that if you're experiencing something that's difficult, you can pull back your energy or investment into the situation and experience it as if you are watching a story, right? There was work that was put into this. Some sort of manifestation is coming into being. Just watch and pay attention to what the story is trying to tell you, is what this energy is talking about. And I know that's harder than it seems, because it is extremely jarring to almost like break the fourth wall on your own experience, is kind of how this reading is coming through today. It's very strange. Anyways, the next few cards here to come out are the discernment card, because I feel like this card came out yesterday as well, with the eye, right? It's like you're seeing some sort of events unfold in front of you, and it's being able to sort of pick out the important bits, right? Because in what I love about that movie, it's not an easy movie to watch, just a heads up. It is dark and heavy, but what's interesting is that when you have that sort of primer to be like, by the way, this is a movie. People made this. There were choices that were done. And at the very end of the movie, which I won't spoil for you, but it does that again, where it's like the end scene happens and then they bring you back into the film set. So it kind of comes full circle, right? There's this energy of like, because I almost forgot that that's how the movie started, is kind of how it was coming through. And so what's really lovely about that movie is that in really good movies, where there's really good writing, the first scene of the movie will always mirror the last scene, right? There's always something shared between those two states of the beginning and the end, and that the symbolism becomes clear. How the movie makers choose their symbols, the design, the set structure, all of that is important and significant to the message and the story that is being delivered, because we are, as human beings, very visual creatures, right? There is symbolism in all of the sort of choices that we make, or the things that we go to, because it tells our story, basically. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there, because you have your friction and the Rose Phoenix, because you absolutely are in this Rose Phoenix energy where it's like you have completed, this is the end of that specific story, right? It's the culmination. You've reached some sort of point, and I feel like this one who's coming into your environment right now is at the start, right? So it's like there is absolutely a mirror between what is being presented to you with this friction energy and the ending. This is the beginning of the story. This is the ending. They're at the beginning of this healing process that you've completed, and they're coming to you because you are at the end. There is a shared similarity between it, but it's like you are almost like being the catalyst for this one to start some sort of significant journey for them. Okay. the tarot, you have Muse of Materials, which I absolutely adore. These two combinations coming out, and the Ace of Voices, because this is your energy. This is how you can shift your focus, meaning that I feel like you, DF, are on this bridge, right? You're about to step into something new, especially with the Ace of Voices coming in, where it's, because the Ace of Voices has been talking about being at a finish line and about to cross it, but looking back, right? It's like you're at the end of the story, end of the movie, end of a very significant cycle, and this energy is coming in to get you to look back at the journey that you've been on, right? It's the culmination of a very significant healing journey, I want to say. But it's like their arrival is coming in like this, because their energy feels like this to you. It's almost like they stomp too heavily on the bridge and the bridge starts to shake, right? It's like you're standing in the middle of the bridge and all of a sudden there's a wobble and it's causing you to look back, which is absolutely necessary for you to do, because there are almost like two options. It's like you can either keep going forward, right? Which is what I feel like you are absolutely resolved to do, is like to keep moving forward, right? You are this camel energy where it's like, even if there's a panther behind you, the only choice is to go forward, right? But the thing is with the panther is I think that you may be tempted to help them, right? It's like because the panther, it's like they may not be actually saying anything rude or activating, right? They're not, it's not like they're being directly confrontational, but it is, it's pulling on you, because it could be like your very best friend, right? Your very best friend is suddenly displaying some sort of behavior that is not them. And it's like you're wanting to help them, right? Because you recognize that they are here because they are wanting to start some sort of healing journey that you have just completed. And for you, the temptation might be to actually step back and go back, right? Like to move back along this bridge in order to sort of help them through it. And I don't know whether or not that's your choice. That's your choice. Absolutely. I'm just going to leave it there. That's your choice. It's up to you whether or not you do that. But the wheel's coming out first, where there is symmetry in this situation where it's like you're at the end, they're at the beginning. The wheel is turning. And I feel like for you, I feel like the choice will be obvious to you about what you do if you go back to your beginning. Go back to your beginning of this journey, whatever it is for you, and see if there was somebody in your environment that did that for you, right? Was there somebody who sort of pulled you into that space? And if so, maybe that this is an opportunity for you to sort of pull them through as well. As sort of like a symmetry to the beginning and the end, perhaps. But I feel like, I don't know, you have here the Tower, right? It's like their energy is coming in really strong, because I do feel that whatever it is that they're coming through with is that the energy feels like not a tower, right? Not a typical tower. It could be that they're going through some sort of tower, but I see this one as being an epiphany moment, right? A breakthrough in something. It's like they suddenly see something about their situation, perhaps, that is revealing something perhaps difficult, is kind of how it's coming through. And perhaps they are in some way like asking you for assistance or help. And I feel like the best thing that you can do, I mean, this will depend on you and your situation. You have free will in this case. You are moving forward. The wheel is turning for you. But what it is that might be helpful for them in this situation is simply to watch what it is that you're doing. Because it's like, I feel like for you, part of this journey that they're on is perhaps needing to take action themselves. It's something that they need to do themselves, because as much as you can help somebody on a healing journey, the healing comes from within. They have to do that themselves. And I feel like the best thing that you can do for them to help this one is to be an example of what that is. Because you have here the Page of Emotions, the Nine of Materials, and the Sun, which is your energy. It's like they're watching you do this, right? It's like, this is the black egg energy that you were resonating so strongly. It's that you have a very specific and clear and pure vibrational state that you are in currently that is drawing this one to you, because there is a symmetry of some sort. There is a resonance. There is a connection. But acknowledging that you are at this ending point of this cycle and they are just starting. And so if you were to pull them along with you, or if you were to go back and do that whole thing again, I feel like there would be some sort of almost like tower moment where not that you're going to have to restart, but it may just hinder your progress forward. Basically, it's because you're on this bridge, right? Like, you're on your way towards something and the bridge is starting to wobble because this one has come in. Their energy, which was the beginning of your cycle, is shaking the bridge. It's shaking the bridge. But it's like, you have to keep moving forward, DF. You can't sort of stop your progress so that this one can get help from you, because they absolutely have the ability to move across this bridge by themselves, is kind of how this is coming through. They have the ability to move across the bridge by themselves, but because perhaps you share a connection, there's somebody that you care about, it's like you're trying to help them, but it may hinder your progress forward. And so that's kind of where the message gets a little bit tricky, right? Like, I don't want to say that. Yeah, I don't want to be to tell somebody that they have to do something by themselves when you are capable of giving help. However, the best help that you can give in this case is to continue to shine or resonate with this high vibrational energy that serves as like a beacon for them, right? They're trying to move towards you. You don't have to go back for them. They need to catch up to you. That's what this message is talking about. Okay, we're moving on to where's a period, or like, where's an area of growth? So you have here the oyster, the cheetah, and the unicorn, which I love so much, because I feel like you, DF, it's telling you to focus on your goals, or what it is that you are moving towards, the synchronicities, the manifestations, and all that. Because the oyster talks about something that's about to be revealed. And I feel this combination of cards came out in the last Scorpio reading. If that's something you're interested in, you can check that one out. But it talks about there's something coming, and I feel like you've been sensing it for a while. Because it's coming out with the unicorn, which talks about sort of the third eye vision, right? Like signs and synchronicities, all of that sort of like mystical symbology, like energetic phenomena that is kind of letting you know ahead of time that something big is arriving, and you are absolutely moving towards that, right? Like, you are moving towards that. That's what's on the other side of this bridge. But then you have here this boat energy, which is talking about maintaining the calm, right? It's maintaining the calm, but for some reason, well, it's coming with the High Priestess as well. So how I see the High Priestess is someone who absolutely knows how to work with the moon, right? You know how the moon works, you know how cycles works, you know how to release and manifest, and also to provide guidance to those who perhaps don't have that knowledge or ability yet. Like the ones in your environment, your family and friends who perhaps don't have a spiritual practice as intensive or developed or strong or stable as you have. Because it feels like they are somebody that you care about, right? There's somebody who's close to you, that has similarity to you, that you are connected to, but perhaps have not done the significant work yet in a specific area that you have absolutely accomplished. And then you have here the maktub, which is the cosmic remote control. This is what I call it. It's a significant checkpoint where you have the choice, DF, to move forward or take another path or make a different choice that perhaps you haven't in the past. And what I say about this card, because it's coming up again, is that if you don't perhaps get a lesson or understand the truth of something the first time, you will continue to pick the same option over and over again with sort of different circumstances until you get what the problem is, right? Until you get what the lesson is. So I feel like this situation here is coming up because in the past, it's something that you would have chosen because there was some sort of lesson or benefit in you experiencing that. But it's like, because you're at the end of the cycle, if you choose that option again, there may be sort of a rehashing or a re-experiencing of a previous lesson or cycle that you have already learned. And that's why this card is coming up, because it's asking you to really take a good hard look at what it is that you are choosing in the moment, because it may, not that it's going to, it may just cause delays because you're going to have to go back to the beginning and do this cycle again until you just finally release it, is basically what this card is talking about. And what's on the other side, it's like you have the opportunity to choose something different. And the area of growth here is choosing this. Nourishment and ecstasy, which is so incredible, because this nourishment card, this is the first time that this card has come out in a reading. I feel like almost all the other cards have come out in the readings that I've been doing since I've used this deck. This is the first time that this is coming out. And so that's what this is talking about. It's like you're choosing something completely new and fresh, because if you go back to help this one, if you go back and help this one in some way, you will be choosing something that you've already chosen and learned from and done before. And it's like the area of growth for you is actually choosing something new, choosing something different. And it's all of this energy, the nourishment and ecstasy, what gives you joy and pleasure and happiness and a lightness of being. Because their energy right now, as much as you care about them, as much as you want to help them, they're just starting. They're going through a Tower, Wheel of Fortune, Moon situation. And if you go through that again with them, even though you can sort of remain detached, it will impact your movement forward. Oh my goodness. Okay. You have here the Magician, which is all of this nourishment card today, because I was looking at this like stream of rainbows as being sort of like the cloth that the magician pulls out of their coat, right? It's a never-ending stream of just happiness and positivity and magic. That is what you are moving towards, DF. Do not, well, you have choice. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I feel like that it's coming out so strongly because as somebody who is very sensitive, I feel like this person's energy will be incredibly sort of difficult for you to turn away from, is kind of how it's feeling today. But it's coming, like, I knew this card was going to come out. The Seven of Voices, of stepping into perhaps your fear of movement forward, because it's like you're on this bridge, but something is pulling you back to an earlier, perhaps, version of you, or an earlier point of your story where like it's preventing you from moving forward because there is some element here that's causing fear, right? It's like the bridge is wobbling, and it's like you have to move forward, but that requires a lot of faith on your part to sort of tell yourself or convince yourself that what this wobble is not going to topple you. It's not going to endanger you in any way. It's having to really talk through sort of the fears that you may be experiencing in your movement forward. Okay. And then you have here awakening, because like this is what's on the other side of the bridge, right? This is what, because it's almost like this energy is asking you to take a step back to help them, right? It's asking you to take a step back to help them. I'm sorry, I'm getting this I was watching this show, The Peripheral, on Amazon Prime, and there was this scene in that movie where it's like a group of men in an army. They're in a group. I don't know what the word is. I'm going to call it a battalion, even though that's not the right word. They received intel that the opposing forces were using wounded dogs to draw them out into the open. They had that intel, but because they had this, like, they had a compassionate sort of, they were in basically an experiment where a compassionate sort of gene, I want to say, was expressed in them. So all of these sort of army, military men had an overexpression of compassion, where they had a wounded dog in front of them in sort of the no man's land. Even though they received intel that the opposing forces were using wounded dogs to draw them out into the open, it's kind of like that. It's like there's a wounded dog in front of you. You know that going towards, or that the opposing forces, something that's trying to pull you back from where you are going towards, is there in front of you. And it's like, what do you do? Because you have so much compassion for them, for this being, this energy, this person who is in a state right now of the tower and the moon, right? It's not an easy state. However, it's up to you. What are you going to do? DF is basically what I'm going to end it with, because you have here what it is that you are going towards is the 4 of inspiration and the 6 of materials. All of this sort of co-creation energy that is absolutely reciprocal. Because if you were to go sort of in this other situation, I feel like you would be doing a lot of sort of the keeping your head above water, right? Being a guide, showing the other one the path, where that you've done that already, right? You are in this state where you've been carrying your own water for a really long time, and this energy here of what it is that you want to go towards is something that actually gives back to you, because this energy is not. There's not enough resources in this environment for you to keep moving forward in this direction forever, right? You cannot keep going in this direction for a long time. You can do it temporarily, but not forever. And it's like you are moving towards an area where there is nourishment, where there's life, there's things for you to gain and learn and grow from, right? You're moving from the desert into a place of nourishment, but it's like there's an energy here that is pulling you back because they are in an energy of suffering. That's not an easy message to deliver. I'm just going to say that there. But it's up to you. Okay, so I'm going to end it with the Moonology card. So the first one that came out was this. Nothing will come of this situation, the void of course moon. Take that as it resonates. So I feel like there is a situation where you are being challenged to sort of go back. Nothing will come of that is basically what this card is talking about. But then you also have here a win-win forecast. Sorry, a win-win outcome is forecast. The full moon in Libra. So keep that in mind, that you will make the right decision, DF. You will make the right decision. But it's kind of like taking time to think about what that decision is. Have faith in your dreams. The waxing crescent moon. A time to give rather than take, the new moon in Virgo, which is interesting. So keep that in mind. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just reading the cards and how it is that they're presenting to me. I feel like for you, there may be a different course of action depending on where you are in the cycle, but that will be made clear to you. And then finally, meditate and contemplate the new moon in Pisces. That's absolutely the guidance that you should follow. So I'm going to end it there. Hopefully that was helpful. I do have other videos if you're interested in watching those. Thanks so much for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day.